Hi guys, this is Stormouse03. This is The Evil Within, Akumu difficulty, continuing chapter 13. So we've made it past the first couple of areas in the apartment buildings, and there's a sort of lull in the activity here for just a second to have some sections where you like pick up stuff and kind of stock up for the fights that are coming up toward the end of the level. And so I'm going to use this moment to talk about kind of, in order to follow the strategies that I'm following in my guide, some things that you need to know if you're just tuning in now and haven't been with me through the whole guide. So I've upgraded things and will continue upgrading things throughout the playthrough. And the things that I'm prioritizing are stock, so that I can carry more ammo and matches, and clip capacity so that I can do the same, and damage for pistol, magnum, shotgun. And if I get all of those upgraded, I may put a couple into the sniper rifle as well. It's kind of hard to remember exactly which things I did after the fact, but I believe I put a little bit into sniper rifle damage as well. But I may not have. I would say that's the last priority one, because the sniper rifle already does a pretty good deal of damage, and usually a headshot is a kill anyway. So I don't think I prioritized that as much. Other things that I upgraded were my sprint a few times, so that I have more time while I'm sprinting, and the bolts. So I upgraded the flash bolt to like a level 3, and I upgraded my freeze and shock bolts to maximum, so that I could freeze things for freeze a wider radius of things, and shock things for longer, and flash things for longer. Other than those things, it's, I guess, preference. I sometimes put things into accuracy, I sometimes put things into critical hits. On a couple of things, I think pistol and shotgun. So that's kind of what I'm rolling with at this point. And if you are finding the keys and everything like I have been, you're going to be able to get a good bit of upgrade gel from those lockers as you go along. And I haven't been picking up very much of the ammunition from those lockers, but I have been picking up the green gel from the lockers, and that helps a lot to be able to upgrade things. So just keep that in mind. I am finding all of the keys throughout this playthrough, and so you should be able to do some heavy upgrading. But we have come to the next little section here where we're going to have to be doing some stuff, and this section is a little bit different from the way it was on Survivor, because there are 3 explosive guys instead of 2. So just make sure that you stay back like I did, shoot the guy at the far end, shoot the guy that's closer to you when they come out of the doors, and then shoot the guy behind him. And if your aim is okay, then they should all blow up in 3 shots, and you'll be done. Be careful when you're going into these rooms, because there will be these explosive bolt traps in front of both of the doors, I believe. So just be aware of that when you're going into these rooms to loot the stuff. And so another thing that I wanted to talk about is preparing for the trap room and keeper fight at the end of this level. So the strategy that I'm going to use for the trap room is to use the pistol to kind of kill a couple of the little robots on the floor, and that is effective. I don't really have to use anything else. If you are having trouble with that section, what I would suggest is to put some shock traps on the floor. And the shock traps will take out those little robot things. And so if you put a couple of them down in, spots where they're going to be moving around or moving toward you, then that will help to destroy them and get them out of the way. Here is going to be a statue with a key. So shoot that, take your key. And there was a map fragment back in the room while I was talking. So just make note of that. There was a map fragment right there inside that room to the right on a desk. And so, yeah, use the shock bolt traps. The explosive ones will work too, but the shock ones won't hurt you. So if you are having trouble disarming the acid trap at the end, or disarming some of the other traps that are around the room in this trap room coming up, you can put down some shock traps around you to keep you safe from the terrible little spinny robot saw blade things that are going to be patrolling around the room, and not have to worry about getting caught in the explosion of an explosive bolt, which would not be good. Blowing yourself up is never good. So I just wanted to talk about that for a minute, because I realized that it's possible that I got lucky on this run through the trap room. And I obviously wasn't going to reload and do it over several times to see if it would go worse for me, because this was the first run and I just happened to get through it on the first run. But I just wanted to give you guys some alternate strategies that I had in my mind if this had not worked. So there it is. So on this, toward the end of this chapter, my preference is to prioritize having shock bolts over any of the other type of bolts, because they can be useful for taking out these little robots, and they're also going to be useful in the keeper fight coming up. So in that fight, I'm going to be using shock bolts to immobilize the keepers, and I'm going to be using some explosive bolts to shoot them. I'm going to be using some sniper rifle as well. Maybe some shotgun if you need to. And those are the weapons of choice for me for that fight. So you'll see that when we get there, but first you have to get through this room. So I disarmed these two traps over here to get the parts. There was a bolt on the table there. And then what I'm going to try to do and fail a little bit is to shoot these little spinny things. And usually they take 2 pistol shots before they die. But they're kind of finicky little bastards to hit, especially with the inaccuracy of these weapons. Or this pistol in particular. So I waste more pistol ammunition here than I really would have liked to. But it was what it was, and I ended up making it through the room, so I lived with it. There's going to be a statue over here to the right, so when it looks like you're kind of out of range of these little robot dudes, pick that up, disarm that trap, and then I'm just being cautious here because I don't want to be going through that fire and get caught from behind by one of the little robot guys. I'm also wanting to pick up that bolt. And then as soon as the fire goes away, run on through. There's another trap to disarm right here. And be aware of the spikes there in the middle that come down. So you can hang out to this left side and be a little safe from those. it seems like when you shoot these little robot things with the pistol, they kind of move away from you. And so, at least that was my experience with them. They really don't seem to be too aggressive for me right now, which is a good thing for me, but it makes me kind of nervous for how easy this will be to replicate for other people, because I feel like it's just a little bit random. But we disarmed that other trap. It looks like there is nothing around right now, and so I'm just gonna go for the acid trap. To be safe right here, you might lay down a couple of shock traps, or at least one behind you. But I was able to get that disarmed and move through before any of the little robots got near me. Again, that could have been just the luck of the draw. And so you might have to put down some traps or spend a little bit more time killing the robots and things. But I guess my biggest advice for that room is to not try to rush it. I went through very cautiously, pretty slowly. I wasn't intimidated by the room, because I think when you're in there, it feels like you need to move, you need to run, you need to get out of there. But you really don't have to do that. There is nothing that's going to, at least as far as I know, that's going to kill you if you stay in there for too long. You just need to know where all the traps are and move in a way so that you don't hit any of them. But in any case, that is that room. Hopefully some of those strategies will be helpful for you in making it through there. And then we are going to hit the keeper fight here. And so you have to kill 3 of these guys before the door will open. And the first is going to be coming at you from the middle of those meat things. There's a crossfade because I died a couple times. And so I lay down a shock trap there. And then I wait for him to get immobilized in it. And then I'm going to hit him with some explosive bolts. 2 of them will take that enemy out. Then I'm going to put another shock trap down to take out that little saw blade bastard so that he doesn't come into this room. And here comes our second keeper. I'm going to choose to hit him with some sniper. And you remember how 2 sniper shots killed that enemy in Chapter 7? Well, it takes 3 now. So that was a little bit of a waste because the keeper is spawning in right now, and like Chapter 7, I do not believe you can hurt him until he has stood up. So I don't think that I was damaging him right there. But it was all nerves. And I was like, I don't want him to get close to me. This is the 3rd one, and and where they spawn in may be a little bit random as well. I don't know why on earth it took him that many shots to die. I think it was probably because when I started shooting him, he wasn't fully standing yet. And so the first shock trap and explosive bolts completely were a waste. And then I believe the first of those sniper shots were as well. So just be aware that you can't hurt that enemy until it's fully standing, and you kind of need to wait for that, even though it makes you a little bit nervous to do so. Or else you're just gonna waste some ammunition like I did. But you live and learn. I think that they spawn in a little bit randomly too. The first one should always come toward you from the middle of those meat things hanging down. And then the second one can come from the left like it did for me, or from the right where the 3rd one stood up. I think that that's randomized, although it may be the same pattern every time. I can't remember. So just be aware that it takes 3 of them killed to be able to move on. And I believe after that they do keep spawning, so you want to be moving out of the area. You don't want to waste time kind of searching around for stuff. I know that there is some upgrade gel in that room. I think there's some ammunition on the edges of that room, and they do lay down some traps a little bit as well. So there's stuff to pick up, but in my opinion, it just isn't worth it because you don't want to get caught with another keeper in the room, and the little robot saw blade thing may respawn as well. Although I'm not 100% sure on that. So as soon as you kill the third one, I would say move toward the door and move on, because you're going to be able to restock stuff in chapter 14. So don't worry. Don't even worry about it. So that's pretty much chapter 13, guys. There's just a little bit of stuff to pick up here as we move out of the level. But for all intents and purposes, we are finished. So that chapter, like I said, didn't feel as hard for me because I had struggled on it when I was playing it on survival. And so I had some pretty solid strategies that worked for me when I was playing it on Akumu. But it's by all means not an easy level, so hopefully that was helpful for you. So thanks for watching, guys. I will see you in chapter 14.